Hey, good day, everybody. So here we go. This is the purchase agreement consistent throughout our company. So I'm just going to use the generic version. As we go through, what you'll see, regardless of the system, what it's going to do is to automatically input a lot of this information, whether you're on the listing side or the selling side with the purchase agreement. It's going to go in there automatically. Nothing for me really to tell you about within this, other than if you're looking at your listing or look at your information in the MLS, you're going to find out what your individual office ID is, and your agent ID is whatever was assigned to you through the multiple listing service. So let's go down immediately to paragraph 1 then. This is a simple property description outlining what it is that the purchaser is offering to purchase. In this, you have the basic property description that it's located in the state of Michigan, the township or village of, and you're going to put that name in there, county of, and the tax ID number. Again, now starting in the right position within the MLS, you're going to find that it will automatically put that information in there. The legal description will most likely fit if it's a condominium description or if it's a, what I want to say, a lot and block, a subdivision. It will say lot number, and it will fit within that basic line description there. If not, that's why the tax ID is there, and it's commonly known as. Now, most of this information is automatically going to drop in. From there, it's also describing what is additionally kept with the property. Now, remember, we're selling land and everything permanently attached to that land. So, we're selling the dirt and the improvements to it, which is the house, and everything permanently affixed to that house. This is going to go in and describe a lot of additional things so that there's no misinterpretation. Read through this, guys. I'll point out a couple of things. The subsurface and mineral rights are included. We don't even have to address it. Whatever they have, they are transferring. Another one that I would highlight in here, and especially if you sell anything, we'll say outside of the Metro Detroit, if you're in the country, if you're dealing with acreage, you're probably dealing with cooking and heating fuel, propane, fuel oil, LP gas, something of that nature. It's stating that anything that's left in the tanks is included. So that's an important one for you to remember because a lot of people don't know about those items. Now, the other thing is it's saying a key word, and this is where you put any other additional personal property which would be allowed by a mortgage company. Now, if we're dealing with cash, a land contract, purchase money mortgage, at that point it doesn't really matter. But when it is dealing directly with a mortgage, at that point we need to deal with only those things that is common for a mortgage to allow to go with the property. That would be a stove, refrigerator, washer, dryer, a microwave, those basics. There is specific verbiage that you might put in here. If it is, say, a safe, one of the heavy safes, a hot tub, what am I missing, a pool table, things of that nature, and there would be specific verbiage that those would be fine to leave. You should find that in the clauses within your MLS library. The only other that I put in here is starting with the word existing stove, refrigerator, washer, dryer. The reason for that is simply because of this. If we don't put that in there, what is it that a seller would have to leave? A washer, a dryer, a stove. So all we're doing is, I call it risk reduction when we put that word existing and then follow up with whatever appliances would be included. And then the question comes, but what if they want to have the $20,000 tractor included? Well, you better talk with the mortgage company, and at that point, the mortgage company can tell you whether or not they would allow that to be part of the purchase agreement. If they say it cannot be part of the purchase agreement, leave it off, and the seller and the buyer are going to have to try to negotiate terms outside of this purchase agreement, okay? Cannot be tied to the purchase agreement, and again, this is when we're talking about lender financing. Items specifically excluded. This is a big note for yourselves now. Items specifically excluded in the listing agreement or in the MLS publication must be listed hereafter, or they will be deemed included in the sale. It's included unless it is excluded. Anything that we want to make sure is being taken that would otherwise be deemed real property, part of the home, needs to be excluded. TV mounts and brackets. Guys, these things are now typically mounted to the walls using lag bolts, something of that nature. If you think about it, then the brackets by themselves would be mounted. What you're seeing here is a TV that is permanently mounted because it's screwed to the bracket screwed to the home. Technically, all those things would be included. So what we're stating now, this is part of the purchase agreement. Mounted television, video projection equipment are not included unless specified elsewhere within this agreement. However, the mounts and or brackets will be left in place and included in the sale. And the reason being is so many of those now are what they call universal mounting brackets, mounting hardware. It's universal. You can pretty much hook any TV up to them. So those are included. Let's take a look at the price. Buyer agrees to pay the sum of, and that's where you spell it out. This is like in the old days when we used to write personal checks, right? Write it out, and then the dollar figure will go in there within the numbers. So spell out $235,000, and then you're going to put 235,000.00. Now, what is likely using today's Remind Docs, Transaction Desk, Dot Loop, things of that nature, you're going to find that you're simply put in the purchase price, and I use $235,000, put $235,000 in there in the numbers, it will automatically fill out, spelling out the rest of that. Okay? Now, moving to paragraph number 4. This is a key one because it's outlining under how they're going to purchase the property, be it with a cash sale with a new mortgage, or if they're looking for a land contract, mortgage assumption, some type of seller financing. And the other type of seller financing that we may have heard about is called a purchase money mortgage. What's going to be most common? We're either going to have A or we're going to have B. Caveat with being able to say it's a cash sale. Cash sale is, I have the funds. It's liquid. I have it available to me. I can pull it out in a day or two or less. That's cash. If I have to say, well, it's cash, but I got to sell a house first. I'm going to use the cash from the home. That's cash, but it's contingent upon them selling a home. It needs to be written that way. But frankly, it's not a cash sale. It is cash that's going to have contingency. So always make sure that we look at it from that specific direction. Now, from there, again, we're most likely to have B, a cash sale. Cash sale through a new mortgage. And this one says the agreement is contingent upon. So 4B is a contingency. It's contingent upon the buyer securing a particular type of loan. So we should know that because the buyer's been pre-qualified. We have a pre-approval letter. And through that, it should state that this is a conventional mortgage, FHA mortgage. Even to the point of, look, if it's conventional, RD, we need to be aware of that. And if you're newer to the business, one of the things that I want you to know, not always will people tell you the full details. One to be alert of is that a conventional sale could be rural development. And there's a big difference from just being conventional or being conventional rural development. The other thing that I would have you be aware of is it could be a conventional MSHDA. All it is there's a tie to it. MSHDA, M-S-H-D-A, short for Michigan State Housing Development Authority. It's an additional spot in probably one where it's a grant to the buyer. Either way, I want to know that because it could extend the time period that we need to be able to get the deal closed. So keep that in mind, but that should be specified in here on the purchase agreement. Now here's the reason why. When we take a look at these terms, what we're looking at is that it's contingent upon the buyer getting a loan under these terms. Once they've been approved for this loan with these terms, contingency is removed. So make sure that we, in completing our purchase agreements, have this fully completed. And the other being that when we get purchase agreements on our listings, that we do have a pre-approval letter. That we do have all of the blanks on a purchase agreement completed so we know what the contingency truly is. Now it says not contingent upon the sale or closing of other assets, the amount of blank percent or blank dollars. I will encourage you to use the percentages, not the dollars. Counter offers happen, and it might change a person's ability to be able to actually proceed with their approval for financing. So if this was a 20% down, it would be in the amount of 80% and paying 20% down. And we're leaving the dollar blank, or put a line through it would actually be best. It then goes on to say down plus mortgage costs, prepaids, adjustments, and flood insurance. So all things necessary for them to be able to get approval is what we're saying it is contingent upon. Property must appraise, and this is another key part I want you to catch. Property must appraise at the sale price or higher. So the contingency of appraisal is built into the purchase agreement. So if you have a buyer who's concerned of, well, what if it doesn't appraise? It's in the paragraph. Automatically in there, all you've got to do is highlight it and point it out. At that, or the buyer may declare the offer null and void, and if a mortgage commitment conditioned upon marketable title and satisfaction, where did I get? Conditioned upon marketable title and satisfactory survey, if it's required, is not delivered to the listing broker within. So guys, let me give you a few numbers. I'm going to get these from the lender. They should be typically able to apply within 5 days or less, but ask. Sometimes they've already done it. If they've already applied, simplify this. Let's make this a better offer by saying it's a day or two at most, if they've already made application. Now, how long will it take a broker to be able to get, or a mortgage broker, mortgage banker to be able to get us the approval? Typically, I'm going to say it's 30 to 35 days. It might be 42, 44, 45. Again, I'm going to look to the lender. So when it comes really to 4B, talk to the lender that's handling the mortgage and ask them what would be necessary to be able to meet the terms of this paragraph. Fair enough. Here we go. Last one is simply sale by land contract, mortgage assumption, seller financing. I'm going to say, if you get anything out of the unusual, talk to your broker manager. Let them help you in regards to that. So gang, that is page 1 of the purchase agreement. I'm going to let you take a brief break, and we'll see you in just a few.